Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm reviewing a fountain pen from Lamy, and this is one of those pens that I've been asked to review a number of times. There have been a couple of people in particular who have asked me to look at this, and the pen is the CP1. This is one of Lamy's sort of little minimalist, slim fountain pen models. So I'm going to go over the parts and features and then do a writing sample and talk about some pros and cons. This is how the pen comes packaged. Simple cardboard sleeve over a nice hard cardboard Lamy box. Of course, the pen comes in here. It comes with a blue cartridge and it comes with a Z27 converter. And here is the pen. Let's start at the top. Okay, flat top, very slimline cylindrical pen from top to bottom. The cap is this sort of solid stainless steel brushed spring-loaded clip with Lamy there, just there on the side, which is part of the minimal branding on this pen. There is no step down from cap to barrel, and it continues along. And then we get this little divot with some holes in it, and then the posting cap on the end there. The pen is primarily made from lacquered brass, with the exception of this section. It is a snap cap, as you just saw, snaps on and off. And a little grooved, very small, slim section there, and then the standard Lamy nib. Now this comes in extra fine, fine, and medium. I have it here in a fine, but any of these Lamy nibs will fit, so you could technically put anything from the extra fine through the 1.9mm stub nib on this pen if you desired. The snap is secure and it holds very, very well, as does the posting. It posts onto that end there and it's not going to come off, and that slim line once again continues up to the end there. The only issue being a little bit of weight from that clip just in the back of the pen. You unscrew the pen to reveal where the converter goes in. As I said, I've got a Lamy black cartridge in there at the moment, and there's not a lot protecting that insertion there, like it's right there. So that helps keep this pen nice and slim. You can see the brass internal screws there going onto the plastic of that section. This is obviously the black version. It's in a nice matte black version. There have been other versions of it. It is made in Germany and designed by Gerd A. Müller, and is a fairly simple minimalist pen. I have a few pens to compare it to, but I'll start here with the Lamy Safari, where you can see it's a little bit shorter. Another Lamy pen that has to be put alongside here is the logo, which shares a number of features with it, size and little posting cap and things like that. Another pen that it should be seen alongside here is the Faber-Castell Neo Slim. And then one that seems to get a lot of comparison in a lot of ways is the Muji aluminium fountain pen. So you can see it is on the smaller side. It's smaller than a number of these, but it does share a number of features with a couple of them, and a couple I will show it in a bit more detail alongside. Here we now have them uncapped, and you can see that there's a, it's once again, it's fairly small, much smaller than the Lamy Safari and the Muji, which I can write quite comfortably with both of them unposted. The logo and the CP1 here just feel ever so slightly small in the hand when they're unposted. Now if we look at them posted, you can see it actually holds its own. I think it's this form of posting onto that sort of end cap there, where it doesn't post particularly deep, means that we end up with a fairly decent length pen. You can see in comparison to the Safari, it is remarkably slimmer, but I think it sort of holds its own in terms of length in this respect. So what are the specific dimensions of the CP1? Well, capped, it is 135mm. Uncapped, it's 117. Now it is fine, it's a fine size. It just feels a bit small because it also is very slim. And that section, you do end up feeling that you're holding it back further onto the barrel there. And there is a slight step down there. It's not sharp, but you do notice the little separation of the barrel onto the grip section. Posted, it is 158. So not super long, but makes it better length for writing. But the back weighting is just a little bit off in my opinion. The pen weighs 16 grams in total. And 8 of that is in the cap and 8 of that is in the body. So you're putting half the pen's weight on the end there. I prefer the weight to be focused more down onto the section and the nib, but you're not going to get that on a metal pen when you have a plastic section. The section width is 8.4mm, so it is slim. Time for a writing sample on my standard Clairefontaine 90-gram paper. What we have here is the Lamy CP1. Super inventive name. This is a steel fine nib, and the ink is Lamy Black. Let's do some writing. Okay, so first things first, there is a bit of feedback on this particular nib. Some directions are a little bit scratchy. If we do like change the angle that I'm writing to more emulate a right-handed writer, you can still hear that. Let's do some fast writing. Okay, so you can see there are spots where it kind of skips. To me, that is that slight sort of scratchy-ish nature. If you're not lining the nib up well, this particular nib is going to give you some of that wetness. I can't complain about the wetness. I think it's okay. Reverse writing is fine. It's a bit dry. It's okay. It's not a flex nib. These Lamy nibs do not flex at all, so don't even try. So overall, it's a fair writer. It's reliable in everyday writing. If you push it or if you get it off axis, you are going to find issues. Now, is that standard across Lamy? Yes and no. Yes, from the perspective of you do see this happening, and no from the perspective of it's not on every nib. Some Lamy nibs are very smooth, very well tuned in that respect. Some are a little bit more like this, and you can only review the pen you get and the nib that comes on it, and that is what I'm doing here. So let's talk about some pros and cons. Let's start with the cons, and the first one I'm going to make is incredibly personal to me. That posting mechanism system on the end there is ugly. It ruins the line of this pen, in my opinion. Like, even if you had to put the little, like, if you look at the Neo Slim, similar method, but it's just this little, like, divot down off it, and it kind of, like, it's not a great look in terms of the line of the pen, but it's still consistent with the pen. This changes, and it's got those holes through it that I just don't understand. Design feature or like practicality feature, perhaps, just not attractive at all. The nibs will be a bit variable, and by that I also mean, I don't mean like the slight skippy, scratchy writing that we saw in the writing sample. I kind of mean more like if you get a fine or a medium, they can be somewhat interchangeable with Lamy, and your extra fine is never going to be extra fine. The balance when it's posted just feels a little bit off to me. That will vary depending on where you hold it, how you hold it, the size of your hand, all that kind of stuff. And the other thing is that for some people, this pen is just going to be too slim. For me, it is not the kind of pen I would want to do all my writing with. Quick writing, you know, journal entry, like diary entries, you know, writing in appointments, things like that. Absolutely. And the form and size of this pen make it perfect for that, you know, put it down the side of a notebook or in your handbag, that kind of thing. Let's talk about price now. In the US, this retails for $60, and just to put that into comparison, the Logo retails for about $40, and the Safari, not this version, but the Safari in general, retails for around $30. So it's not an expensive Lamy when you think of things like the 2000 or the Emporium or the Dialogue 3, but in terms of these entry-level pens, this is on the top of its zone, if you will. In Australia, it's strange. The main price I've kind of seen it at is around $125. I've seen it as on special as low as $90, but I've also seen it as high as $169. So that swing range there with Lamy in Australia, once again, Australia getting a bit of a rough deal in terms of pricing, because the $60 price in the US, direct translation is around $90, maybe a little more, $90, $95. Why is it $169 in some retailers? Like, I know import and all of that, but it seems a lot. Anyway, let's talk about some pros. I called the slimness of this pen a con for some people, but for some people it is going to absolutely be a pro. People love writing with slim pens and drawing with slim pens, and that's going to be the case with this. It's good in that respect. It feels a bit more like a pencil. And it's also nice and light, so if you can't use a heavy pen, this is a very good option for you. It is reliable. In everyday writing, it writes first time every time. There's nothing stopping it from doing that. As I said, it will be good for drawing and art because of the size of it and the practicality of that. But also, one thing I really quite like about it is the simple minimalist design. Like, it's nondescript. It's got some features like I think the clip is related to the Lamy 2000 clip. It's spring-loaded brushed stainless steel on a black pen. So that is a nice design element. But the only branding is there on the side of the clip, which I've shown you before, and on the nib. So minimal branding, it's a minimalist pen in a lot of ways, and I think that's nice. So this was the Lamy CP1. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. Please feel free to get in touch using any of the platforms listed below. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at @the_offstage_me, or you can contact me on any of my videos here or drop me an email, which is listed down below. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you'd like to support the channel by sponsoring a review or providing an item for review, I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.